every time somebody wants to cook something, you want to cook something, or make a cake, or make a nice dinner. And if you're not really, if it's not something you do every day, you need a very good recipe, just to be sure that what you're doing is going to be good at the end, and it's not going to be a disaster. You're not going to burn the dinner or burn the cake. And also to make sure that next time you want to do the same thing, you actually can repeat exactly the same cake so that it tastes the same at the end. So for this you need a good recipe, and a good recipe contains a lot of information, all the information that you need to actually bake this cake. It has an introduction where it kind of gives you an overview of what you're going to do. It also gives you a list of materials, everything you need, like all the amounts and of each material and each ingredient that you need. There's also any equipment that you might need in advance, like a mixer or something like that. And then it has a very detailed description of the method, so that you know exactly what you have to do, when you have to do it, what temperature you need, or if you add the sugar to the flour, or if you add the eggs to the flour. All this information is contained in this recipe. And you need all this information to, on the one hand, to do the recipe correctly, so to end up with the right cake, and on the other hand, also to ensure that the next time you want to do it, you end up with the same result. So this is not very different from scientific protocols. So every time you want to do experiments, you need a scientific protocol. Also to ensure that you actually do the experiment correctly, to know what you have to do and when you have to do it. So it also has an introduction with some background on the procedure you're about to do. You have a list of materials with everything that you need to prepare beforehand, all the equipment that you need to have access during the experiment, so that you are sure that when you're in the middle of the experiment, you're not missing something important because you don't have it. So all of this is contained within the protocol. And finally, you also have a very detailed description of the method, of the steps that you need to carry out to end up with the results that you want to get. So every time you want to design a new experiment, you have to do some research to find the right protocol for your experiment, to answer the question that you have. There are several sources a scientist can use to get new protocols. On the one hand, you can obviously first talk to your colleagues, collaborators, and see if anybody has done the same experiment you want to do, and has a protocol that you can use. You obviously also can do some literature search, read papers, do a search in the library. What happens very often, though, is when you read a paper and you look at the method section of the paper, not all of the information is in the methods part, because lack of space, for example. Papers have, obviously they don't have indefinite space, so sometimes the methods section is quite short and it doesn't have all the information that you need. You can also do a Google search or PubMed, some online search using a search engine to find the protocol that you want to that you need. Usually, it ends up being an interaction between the different type of protocol sources that a scientist has at hand. Maybe sometimes also it's a database at the university or the institute you're working on. Once you have this protocol, you test it, you optimize it for your particular experiment, for the one that you want to do. And as soon as you have a protocol that is working and that you can trust, this is really one of the most precious possessions that a scientist can have, because it ensures reproducibility. It ensures that every time you do an experiment, the experiment will work. And as soon as you have this protocol, you can then carry out the real experiments that you need that end up in the publication, in a paper or in a thesis. And having these publications will then lead again to new ideas, new projects, new experiments, and the whole process starts over again for searching for new protocols. These steps of finding the right protocol and testing and optimization is very time consuming, and it can be quite expensive, because if you have to do a lot of trials and go through a lot of errors until you find actually the right protocol, it can be quite costly. So this is where Springer protocols can help you. So making trusted and reliable protocols available for everybody was actually the motivation behind establishing this database and making these protocols available to everybody. It is the largest collection of biomedical and life science protocols, and it's all based on tested and established techniques. So all the protocols that go into the collection, they have been shown to be reliable, and they have been shown to work very well. So how did they start? Many years ago, there was a need, the scientists realized that there was a need for standardized, detailed and trusted protocols that were written by experts, and that could be reproduced by any other scientist in any other lab. Professor John Walker recognized this need, and this was about 30 to 35 years ago. And he started collecting several useful and trusted protocols, which he published in the first volume of Methods in Molecular Biology in 1984. This is what you can see here. This is the first volume of this collection. So the Springer protocols are a collection of trusted and tested laboratory protocols that researchers can use in biomedical and life sciences. They provide detailed instructions for use in scientific laboratories, and they provide, they're clearly structured, and they explain the procedure step by step. They have an introductory overview of the procedure, a very detailed and comprehensive list of the materials and the reagents that you need to carry out the experiment. Obviously, it also has a very detailed procedure, and in the end, it has a very helpful section with notes, with tips and tricks, and also advices and some common pitfalls, some points where the scientist really has to pay attention. It usually says so in this note section. So until today, this collection started with the Methods in Molecular Biology series, but nowadays we already have 6 book series. Besides the Methods in Molecular Biology, which is actually the most known by everybody, we also have a series about mirror methods, methods in molecular medicine, methods in pharmacology and toxicology, methods in biotechnology, and the Springer Protocols handbook collection. In total, we have more than 1,600 books, and this sums up to almost 40,000 tested and trusted protocols, very detailed protocols. Every year, 3,500 to 4,000 new protocols are added to the collection, and this sums up this contributes for Springer protocols to be the world's largest and collection of protocols, and all of these protocols are very reliable and are trusted. So how are the Springer protocols developed? The protocols are organized in books. Each chapter is a protocol, and the topics and volumes of the topics and volume editors, they're identified by the Springer editorial team and the executive editorial board members. And each of these board members are scientists, they're experts in their own fields. They choose the topics based on the research that is currently being performed, traditional and time-tested scientific methods, but also emerging and anticipated areas of research. There is obviously a lag, so every time a new protocol is published, it will take a couple of years for it to be introduced into the collection of Springer protocols, because it needs to be, the editors always need to be sure that the protocols are actually reliable. Individual protocols are then reviewed by the series editor or the equivalent editorial board member to ensure that all the protocols are accurate. And the in-house editorial team then provides a final review to make sure that all the protocols have the same style and they're the same format before they get published. So the books are, like I mentioned, are divided by series, and the Methods in Molecular Biology, which is the oldest collection available, is also definitely the largest. So about 80% of the books fall within the category of Methods in Molecular Biology. And the size of the database, it grows linearly every year. So the number of protocols, like I mentioned, grows from 3,000 to 4,000 protocols every year. And we will reach the mark of 40,000 protocols by the end of this year. So if you take one of these books, for example, to have a look how the structure of the book is, we took the book, I took this in this example, I'm looking at the book Epigenetics Methods in Neuroscience. So what you can see from this book is that here, first of all, this book has a table of contents, and here it says how many protocols are contained in this book. In this case, there's 15 protocols about this topic. And the number of protocols per topic depends on how new a topic is. So the newer the topic, the less the number of protocols is available that are trusted is available for this topic. So the fewer number of protocols. If it's a very established topic, then you will have as many as 40 protocols on this topic. You then have the book is divided in different sections. So you have an introduction that gives you a protocol that is basic and something more basic and something, or maybe also it could also be kind of a review, more of a review protocol where it gives you an overview of all the techniques that can be used for in a certain topic. You then have more specific areas, like in this case you have protocols about analysis of the chromatin modeling, and then you have all these protocols will be related to this topic. And like this you have two other sections. So the protocols are also updated regularly, and this happens by new book editions. So as soon as you have, if protocols are there are already new versions of a certain protocol, a new book gets published and the protocols are updated this way. And they get updated as the science and technology develops, changes and progresses. But it usually takes about 2 to 3 years to get an update, because obviously it also takes some time to establish the new protocols. Rapidly advancing topics might be updated more frequently. When a new edition, which is very important, when a new edition of an existing protocol is published, the older version continues to be available on the database. This is important for laboratories, for example, that don't have always the latest state-of-the-art equipment. It might need equipment that might use equipment that is a few years old already. Then it's good to have also the older protocols available in the database. In the beginning of when the collection started, the areas there were 15 areas of research of interest, basically covering all of the scientific and biomedical science research areas. Nowadays, obviously, also the covered areas are a bit more refined, because also the science is refining the interest areas, but it covers as many areas as you can possibly imagine. So there are protocols about any type of research that you're doing in the life sciences area. The number of protocols per subject, also how it increases also varies a little bit with the interest in a certain area. You have, for example, this is in blue, you can see the number of protocols in 2010 per subject area, and in orange you see the number of protocols per subject area in 2015. So this is the growth within the last 5 years. And you can see, for example, that areas like pharmacology and toxicology, the number of protocols in this area more than doubled, and the same is true for imaging and radiology, for example. Also neuroscience and plant science. These are very fast-growing topics. You have other topics then, like protein science, cell biology, also genetics and genomics, where there are already so many protocols, it's difficult to actually double the number of protocols, but there is also a very good increase in these areas. So you're constantly looking for new content, constantly being at the top of what is out there, and aware of the new protocols that should be included in this collection. So how can you access the Springer protocols? There are 2 ways, there are 2 platforms from which the protocols can be accessed. On the one hand, you have the Springer Link platform, which you can see here. And via this links.springer.com platform, you actually can access all your Springer products. All the protocols, the books, the chapters, the journals, everything can be accessed from this website. If you want to have access only to the Springer protocols, you can go to springerprotocols.com. This platform is dedicated only to the Springer protocols, and it also has several personalization features, and we will go into this in a little bit. So let's first go to the Springer link website. You probably know it, but this is basically how it looks. Here you can have access to all the journals, books, series, protocols, and also reference works. And you can access the protocols by either going directly here, choosing the protocols here. You can also choose the protocols here, and this is the number of protocols that is available on Springer Link. You can also put in a search word, and in this case, we're going to make a search for epigenetics markers, and we're going to search for this keyword. And now you are looking inside of the whole Springer Link website. What you want to do is look only for protocols. So then you're going to refine your search via protocols here on the left side. And here already you have a number of protocols available from which you can choose. If you want to refine your search, you could also go here to biomedical sciences, for example. You will refine biomedical sciences. And if you're interested in protocols that are related to cancer, there's no image. Okay. Sorry. Just a moment. Just a moment. See. Just a minute, I shared only the PowerPoint, and now I have to figure out how to share also the internet site. So let's see how do I. Just a minute. Okay, can you see now can you see it now? Oh, great. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's start from the beginning again. Where's my presentation now? Here. Okay. Okay, so let's start again here. So now again, we're on the Springer Link website. And here, like I was saying, you can either choose to go to the protocols via the link here to the protocols directly. You can choose to go here to the protocols down here, or you can, like I was doing before, you can put in a keyword to search for. So I was putting in epigenetic markers. And here, what you can do here now is what you did is you were looking inside the whole Springer Link website, but you want to look only for protocols. So this you can do here. Refine the search by protocols. And right now you have 241 protocols. But what we're going to do is also refine your search again by a discipline. So you can choose biomedical sciences. And here, just refine your search again by cancer. So right now you have 70 protocols that match the search that you were doing. And you have all the protocols listed here. So what you can do now, let's go first to this. Let's go to the first protocol called Methods in Cancer Genetics and Epidemiology. So you have a number of choices now here. So on here on the right side, you see the cover of the book that this protocol is contained within. You also have a number of metrics, so you have a number of citations, readers, and how many times this was downloaded, for example. You can export the citations here. You can choose any of the reference managers that you're interested in, and you can choose to download a citation here. You can also share this protocol, and you can also have more information about this protocol. So what we're going to do now is you can actually look at the protocol HTML format if you click here. So you click to view the protocol, and now you have all the information. So you have a summary here. You have introduction, all the materials and methods very well described in the materials and methods section. You also have a lot of methods, all the methods that you need, everything is very well defined, divided into type of methods or into the type of experiment that you're doing. A lot of information also here then. You also have a lot of explanation about the methods. And finally, you also have some concluding remarks, future directions, a lot of discussion about the method that you're doing, and the references. And the references, if you want to look up any of these references, you can directly go to either Crossref or PubMed and look up directly the reference that you're interested in. So this was viewing the protocol via HTML. What you can also do is you can obviously download the protocol into PDF, and this is then how it looks like. Again, you have exactly the same, let's make it a little bit smaller. You have exactly the same type of structure, so you have all the materials and methods and so on. With this then you can save onto your computer, or you can print it, put it in your lab book. The other thing that you can do, you can also download the whole book, for example. If you want all the protocols contained within this cancer epidemiology book, you can actually download the whole book. And now you have access to all the protocols that are contained within this book. What you also have, for example, besides the protocols that you, the structured protocols about certain techniques, you also have some chapters that include more of an overview on a certain topic. So in this case, you have an overview about cancer occurrence, for example. You have a lot of information about this topic, a lot of statistics as well, which can be also useful for you and for your experiment. So it's not just the protocols that you have access to, but you also have access to a lot of review type of information about a certain technique or about a certain topic. Obviously then if you go down, you also have all the protocols that you need. Each chapter then has the references related to this protocol. And but then you also have all the other protocols below. So I have a lot of information that you can use here. If you scroll a little bit down, you also have some other information in case you're interested. You have also information about the authors, about the affiliations, about the editor of the book, the topics it covers, the keywords and so on, and what sectors this would be important for, and also about the protocol, all the type of DOIs and ISBNs for the protocol in case you need it. Okay. One thing that I mentioned was that you have, for example, you have updated books. So you have books, you have protocols that get updated after a while. And if we look, for example, for cancer epigenetics, a book on cancer epigenetics, a protocol on cancer epigenetics, and we actually look on, if we go on to bring a link for this, and we look on cancer epigenetics, you actually find two books with the same title, like you see here, Cancer Epigenetics, this is from 2012, and Cancer Epigenetics from 2015. I see a question, just a moment. Yes, you can create an account. The account can be useful for accessing, for example, the content. If you create an account while you're on the internet of your university, on the IP address of your university, you can then access this account. You can access your content if you're outside of this IP address. So what you have to do, you can go up here. You can log in. You can create an account here, put in your name and your address. But you can also just, in my case, I already have an account, so I'm going to put that in. And I'm physics subject, just a moment. So we're going to log in. So now I'm logged in. So this way you can also log into your own account. Physics subject, no, not really. So we can see here just well, you have some protocols on physics. So let's go back actually. And let's go to protocols. And let's go on to here, see all. And then here you can choose physics. So in here, for example, you have 47 protocols about physics. These are more physics-related topics that, well, it's more techniques that need physics-related techniques, basically. So it's not directly about physics, pure physics. You can make a personal account. You don't have to make a university account. So if we go here, if we log out again, and if you want to log in, you can put in your name and your address and put in a password, and this way you can access, you can create your own personal account. Okay, if we go back again, yeah. So any topic that any discipline or any topic you're interested in, you can basically go to the Springer Link website, you can go to the protocols, and here you can find any topic, all the topics that the Springer protocol covers. Obviously, life sciences and biomedical sciences is very much is there still no image? Cool. Okay. Okay, is everything fine now? Okay, I hope everything is okay now. There is, you don't have the subscription fee is covered by your university, in this case by the Saudi Digital Library. So as long as you're on the IP address of the Saudi Digital Library, then you will have access to the protocols. Okay. So what you can also do, for example, if you want to do a more detailed search, you can also just, for example, if you want to look only for protocols that were published in 2014 and 2015, you can also do that. You can just put in here the dates that you're interested in, and then you get only the more recent protocols. Okay, so let's go back again to the presentation. Let's see where it is. Yes, it's here. So this was about the Springer Link website. Now we go into the Springer Protocols website. It looks a bit different. Like I said, this website is only about it's only for the Springer protocols. You have is now the image back again? Okay. I guess it takes a while. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so this is the Springer Protocols website, so springerprotocols.com. And this website is dedicated only for the Springer protocol. So you can also create an account. So let's do that right away. So here you go to my account, and it's taking some time. In my account, then you can also put in your name and your address, your email address. And it's very useful to do that on the Springer Protocols website because there are a number of there is a number of personalization features that you can use on the Springer Protocol website that are not available on the Springer Link. If you want to download books, then you can do that only from the Springer Link website. You cannot download the books from the Springer Protocol website. Well, you can access them, but it's just easier to do it via the Springer Link. So here we're going to do, again, if you click here to register, if I'm going too fast, let me know. Maybe the connection is a bit slow. But you can click here to register. And you can obviously register as an institution, but as an individual, you can also click here to register. And here you put in your name, your username, email address, and so on, first name and last name, and then you can have your own account. So I'm going to sign up for my account. And then I can show you all the personalization features that are available over Springer Protocol's platform. Again, this is taking some time. Okay, let's see if there are any more questions. A minute. Okay. Seems to be okay. Okay. Good. So I don't know why it's taking so long, but let's wait a little bit. There we go. Okay. So here you can register as well, or sign in as well, with your address and your password. And as soon as you logged in, you can set up personalization features like you can set up protocol alerts down here, or you can comment on papers, for example. Okay, so now I'm logged in. Let's go into the account administration later. So let's first go again to the first site. So now I'm logged in as myself. And again, let's put in here the same type of search that we did before. If there's anything that you would like for me to search, just give me a keyword and I can also search for that. In this case, we are going to search for epigenetic markers again. And let's see what comes up. So the main difference between Springer Link and Springer Protocol website is that on the Springer Protocol website, you have basically a search is done via protocol. So you have here a list of all the protocols that are available here. So if you now we can, for example, refine the search via, let's say, cancer research. In this case, you can also, for example, browse by year if you want to have access to the. No, you also have both PDF, and you have HTML format, so you have both views. So you can browse by subject, or you can browse by year, for example. So let's see, I don't know why this is taking so long, but let's wait a little bit more. And let's see what happens. Okay, so it's still thinking. While it's thinking, so what you can do here is you can see you can have access to the abstract. You can also have access to the full text. So here you have access to the HTML format if you want. You also have access to the PDF if you want. You can download the PDF right away. So now we refined the search by cancer research. You can see here that we refined it by cancer research. And we're going to just open the first, so let's see, this one, for example, let's open epigenetic biomarkers in cancer epidemiology. So you have here the content of, on this side, you have the content of the article. So you have, again, a detailed introduction. You have information about several different topics here. And here, in this case, this protocol, for example, addresses each type of cancer and epigenetics related to each type of these cancers. So there's a lot of detailed information in here. So if you want to go, for example, directly to the bladder cancer, you can just click here. This is the hyperlink, and then you go directly to the section about the bladder cancer, for example. What you can also do here, before we go to download the PDF, so you can, for example, also send if you don't have access to the full text, that's because you're not connected to the internet of your institute. So you only have access to the full text if you are connected to the internet of your institute that has access to the protocol, or if you have created an account while you're on the internet of your institute that has access to the protocol. Otherwise, you cannot access them. Otherwise, you can only see the abstract. You don't have access to full text. So what you can do when you're in protocols like this, you can either email it to you or to somebody else. You can print it, for example. Here you can I'll get to that in a minute. You can, for example, add this protocol to your favorite protocol. So now you add it to this protocol to my protocol section. We will go to that in a minute. What you can also do, for example, you can look for related books that are related to this protocol. And if you click here, then you have a number of books that are related to the book from which the protocol was, in which the protocol was contained that you looked at. So you can also browse other books and see if they're interesting for what you want to do. You can obviously also browse similar protocols. You have a list of protocols that are related to the protocol that you were looking at, for example. And you can again here also export a citation in the different formats that you might be interested in. You can actually post a comment if you want to comment something on this protocol. You can post a comment here. And if you don't have access to in your case, this is not necessary, but in case you wouldn't have access to the protocols, you can recommend it to your library. You can also view this article, for example, on Springer Link. So if we want to look at this article on Springer Link, we can open this link. And now you actually have access to the book that this protocol is contained within via Springer Link. This is very useful if you want to have immediate access to the book. You can also click on the book title if you want, and then you will also have access to the contents of the book. So these are the two ways that you can have access to the book that this protocol is contained within. So, like I mentioned, you also have you could add this protocol to your favorite protocols, and this you can access from. I'm not completely sure which of the Saudi universities have access. I know that the Saudi Digital Library provides access to the protocols, and any university that is related to the Saudi Digital Library, then they will have access to the protocol. If not, you can do exactly what I just said, and you can actually click here and recommend to this product or this protocol to your library administrator, and he will know that you want to have access. And obviously, the more people want to have access to the protocol, the more it will be important for the library to know that you actually want to have access to this. But like I mentioned, the Saudi Digital Library has access to the protocol, so you should have access to them as well. So yes, so by adding the protocol to your favorite protocols here, yes, thank you. So apparently, thank you. So apparently, all of the Saudi universities have access to the protocol, so you shouldn't have any problems. So if you go to my protocol site region here, so you actually then have a list of the protocols that you saved, so your favorite protocols. So you can easily access them from here, from the My Favorite Protocol section. If you want to, you could, for example, also, if you want to have also your own protocols in this collection, you can actually upload the protocols from here. You can, you don't have it, you can upload your own protocols, for example, from here. And you can then put in your name and the text for your protocol, and then you have the protocol also saved in your collection on the Springer Protocols website. This is obviously only for yourself and is only available through your account. This is not available for anybody else. So if we go again to the first site, you can, so like I mentioned, you can upload your protocol here. You can also set up protocol alerts. So if you're interested in any particular subject and getting email updates about the subject, you can choose the subject here, as long as you have an account, and then you will receive regular updates about the Springer protocols and about the new protocols that are available. You can, like we did already, you can also click in your favorite protocols. You can save all your favorite protocols in one place. And you can also set up RSS feeds in case you want to set up different types of alerts. You also have a few other features, like, for example, most popular protocols. So you can have access to the most popular protocols, so the protocol that people have looked at the most, and also the newer protocols. So what's new in the database, for example. If you're a librarian, then you can also go to the library resource page, and you can administer your account from here. If you're not a librarian, you can also, from here, you can also set up the alerts and the protocol. You can manage the features that you're interested in. Okay, there was another question. If you're interested in the articles from 1980, so for example, you can go to advanced search. Actually, that's a good point. So here you can perform an advanced search, and you can select, for example, the series that you're interested in here. You can also select the copyright here. So if you put something like 1980 to 1985, let's put it like that, and then search for this. And then here now you have access to all the older papers from 1980 in this case, 1981, and so on. And then you can basically just do the same way as before, and you can download the PDF from here, for example. So now I'm downloading the PDF, and here now you have the protocols also from 1980. If you're actually interested in the full text alone, then you can also click on full text, and now you have access to the full text without downloading the PDF file. Okay. Any more questions about the Springer Protocols website? Okay. We can also answer. You can also ask some more questions later if you're interested in. Good. So let's see. I think there was nothing else right now. Okay. So let's go back to the presentation again. I have a few slides left, and then you're free to go. So this was about the platform. So the Springer protocols, they are really an amazing research for scientists, and we have a lot of protocols available, and you should be aware that you have these protocols available because it can make your life as a scientist really easier. They are ready to use, so you saw that they're very structured, and you have a lot of information in these protocols. And they cover the whole spectrum of life sciences, and they're also obviously being always updated. So the older protocols are not removed from the database, which is very important. And the protocols are only included in the collection if they have been tested and if they're trusted. And this removes a large uncertainty in research, because if you know that the protocol you're using is going to work, then that makes your life easier. And it also avoids expensive time for optimization and cost, and this obviously leaves more time and more funds for the actual research that you can do. One other thing is that you also have mobile websites, so if you are a person that likes to use tablets or mobile phones or whatever for protocols, also both the Springer Protocols website and the Springer Link website have mobile versions. You can also access them from the mobile device. And you can discover them via a number of search engines. For example, PubMed is very liked among researchers, and Google Scholar, for example, and Google also. Obviously, also Springer Link and Springer Protocols, like I showed you already, and some depending on what your library uses as a search engine, but the protocols are indexed and optimized for a number of search engines. Yes, and that was basically it. So I think there were a few questions. Let's see. I can forward my presentation to Saleh, and he can send it to you if you're interested. And yeah, so are there any more questions? I saw a question about let's see, what was there? Yes, so you were looking for research. So are you sure that if this research paper was published by the Springer Protocols collection, then it should be available on both websites? Okay, any more questions? Otherwise, I also thank you for your attention. You're welcome. I hope it was useful. Okay. Great. You're welcome. Good luck with your research. I think my email was also included in the presentation of the webinar, so it should be available there as well. Okay, well, thank you very much for your attention as well, and I hope, well, good luck with your research, and I hope that this was helpful. Thank you very much.